of course, they're not concerned about the fact that there are so many people developing cancer, as we've increased from 3 people per 100 with cancer in the early 20th century to well over 50% of everybody in America, and specifically in America, and I'm sure in the European countries as well. But you're not seeing this in the underdeveloped countries. You're not seeing this high incidence of cancer and lymphomas in the underdeveloped countries that you're seeing here. And you would think that they might go to their own studies, and yet there's almost like there's a coordinated effort to conceal this information. Have you ever had that feeling, Cori?
Very much so. You know, it's interesting when you mention how there was all these reports that came out talking about aspartame right about the same time as this Ramazzini study. The FDA was saying that they had reviewed the data that was available to them from the first study, because the Ramazzini Institute did 2 studies. They looked first in 2005 at the carcinogenicity of aspartame, and they found a direct correlation. And so then they went on after they heard, well, you let the rats live too long. Well, Dr. Stan, I let you live too long. I'm sorry. You're going to have to go now. You've lived too long.
Well, now, why would they say they let the rats live too long? Or was this simply a means of justifying or trying to cover up the significance of that? I mean, actually, there are laws that say if a product produces cancer in animals, it can't be given to human beings. They seem to sort of ignore that.
Exactly. It's a Delaney Amendment, and it should be looked at, but it's, you know, they're so busy doing this PR that covers up any potential problems, any real problems that people are experiencing out in the field in a day-to-day basis, that we're not getting at the truth.
Well, now, do you have a website where people can go and get this information we're talking about?
Yes, it's www.sweetremedy.tv.
And what will they find if they go there?
Well, we scan the news every day, and we update our website every day with news items that are related to these issues. Right now, have you heard, Dr. Stan, about the Bill S1082?
No, I haven't.
It's the Food and Drug Administration Revitalization Act.
Oh, you mean the one that they were acting on today that Ted Kennedy's pushing? Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, that one.
Yes, I have, and if that goes through, it'll be a disaster.
You know, it's crazy, because it essentially it allows the FDA to earn profits from the sale of pharmaceuticals, essentially turning the FDA into a drug development company. Now, that to me is just exactly what we need, when reports have been coming out left and right about the FDA knowing that the peanut butter was tainted and not doing anything about it.
Hold on, we'll be right back. Well, this is Dr. Stan. Our guest this evening is Cori Brackett. Our subject is aspartame and MSG. And the two, of course, are both excitotoxins. They work somewhat differently, but both of them have many of the same complications, certainly pathological obesity, increased incidence of cancer, problems as far as fertility, attack on, on many of on the brain, on the neurological system. And yet the average person finds it so difficult to believe. How could this be true? The government wouldn't allow that. Yes, they would, if their major objective is population control, if that is one of the major thrusts of American foreign policy, as laid out in National Security Study Memorandum 200, which is available from Radio Liberty, or you can pull it down up on the Internet. When you understand the importance of population control, specifically in certain racial groups, but of course in the general population as well, it's so much easier to understand what's going on and to explain these unexplainable things going on, which are taking place. Do you think that more and more people are beginning to understand what's going on, Cori, or do you think most people are just going through life blindly believing everything government tells them?
I think it's actually, I'm very hopeful, Dr. Sam, because I see people who are waking up every day, and we deal with the public on a daily basis in our production company. And when I was first working on Sweet Misery or Sweet Remedy, people would come in, and I'd have a very difficult time telling them what we were doing, because I was, I would see some of them, kind of being polite and getting out of here as soon as they could. But over the past few years, I've seen people all of a sudden now, they are beginning to become more and more interested in the subject matters, and they're taking charge more of their health. We're seeing people who are searching. They may not have found all of the answers. They're very difficult to obtain in the mainstream when we have news media that's not really telling us much of anything except for what Britney Spears is wearing or not wearing at the moment. But not, for example, about this.
Don't forget about who the father of Anna Nicole Smith's
right.
as a child was. That's really one of the more important things going on in the world today. Who's the father? But
yes, we need to sip our diet soda, sit back, watch the TV, and not really think about any of this happening.
Well, I think there are probably about 150, 100 million, 150 million Americans now who are actually, taking health supplements. So I think more and more people realize that we have to begin taking charge of our own health.
Well, that's what frightens me so much about this FDA Revitalization Act, because doctors may be able to continue using alternative health products in their practices or supplements and such. But if this bill is passed, then the average person may not be able to buy their ginkgo biloba or vitamin C without a prescription.
And of course, that'll drive the price up all the higher, and there's no reason for it at all. I think that there's very little to worry about people getting too much vitamin C. If they do, they'll usually have some bowel problems, and they'll slack off on that. But the body has a tendency to regulate itself, on these. And, of course, what we just need are informed people, not more government laws. We'll be right back. Well, this is Dr. Stan. Our guest is Cori Brackett, and, of course, Cori is really dedicated to this subject. She's put together two great DVDs. The first one is Sweet Misery, and where she goes around the country talking to people with neurological disorders, and many of the doctors who've really dedicated themselves to getting the truth about the toxic influence of aspartame. And then of course, the second DVD is called Sweet Remedy, which I like even better. They're both excellent, and we offer both of them. Now, if you're out there in the listening audience, you have a question about aspartame, Cori knows a lot more about this than I do. Our telephone number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-24-LIBERTY or 464-8295. And my understanding is that pilots are told not to be drinking aspartame-containing sodas and things like that before they fly. Have you ever heard that?
Yes, they've been told that. We have Fred Fox, who's a pilot, who gives us testimony. I talked with him, and he has a video clip that we have graciously been allowed to use on our website. So people can go to sweetremedy.tv, and on the left-hand column a little bit down, they can see the clip about him where he goes into some of his experiences in flight. He had a very scary situation with one of his co-pilots who had a very severe reaction to aspartame in flight. And he was able to obviously get the plane down, but it was, a very frightening situation.
Well, we have heard, of course, that the pilots have been advised not to be drinking products that contain aspartame. If you're a pilot, give us a call. I'd like to know if that's really factual or not. Our telephone again, 1-888-24-LIBERTY or 464-8295. And certainly the scientific studies are out there. There's another excellent website. It's doorway.com, DORWAY.com, and that's Betty Martini's website. And and she has a great deal of great information. And then Cori Brackett is Sweet Remedy. TV, is that right?
Yes, TV is in television.
All right, fine. Well, let's go to Ray, who's calling us here from Santa Cruz. And hi, Ray. I got a question to comment?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to know a little bit more about Donald Rumsfeld's involvement in. Well, he worked for Searle, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. What is your impression of Rumsfeld's involvement in this, Cori?
Oh well, Ray and Dr. Stan, Rumsfeld was, in fact, the CEO of G.D. Searle from 1977 until Aspartame's approval. At the same time, he was on Reagan's transition team, so it was a real conflict of interest.
Yeah, right. But has anybody tried to go after him? Because I think he's a criminal.
Well, I know that there have been people who have written letters, made phone calls, that sort of thing. It's very difficult to get to these people, and I think that the more people wake up and the more people realize that we all need to take action and give a voice to our frustration and our anger, the more likely we're going to be to actually invite change to occur.
My understanding is that there is a series of lawsuits involving children with brain tumors, and that, what is it, back in New York? What's the background of that?
You know, actually, Dr. Stan, I've heard about those lawsuits, but I don't really have much in the way of detail about them.
Yeah, and, well, there's definitely a relationship, at least in animals, between, of course, the use of aspartame and brain tumors in animals, as well as, of course, the other lymphomas and other similar tumors. And my understanding is that the lawyers are, since we can't get the government to do anything, we couldn't get them to do anything about tobacco either. And the only reason, of course, anything got done about tobacco was you had lawyers that were going to make a lot of money on something like that, and they brought the suits, and eventually, of course, the truth came out about tobacco, which had been concealed for many years by the government. And I think all of our listeners probably remember the video clips of all the heads of the tobacco companies all swearing under oath there was no evidence that tobacco was harmful or addicting, and they were all lying. And you remember which ones went to prison for lying under oath? Absolutely none of them. Well, of course, it was eventually the lawyers that, I know, got something done, and at least I started to cut back on somewhat on tobacco. But the general idea of poisoning the population, with something such as aspartame that's known to be toxic. Well, you have to understand there is an agenda, and we'll be right back, and we'll take your calls here at 1-888-24-LIBERTY or 464-8295. Well, this is Dr. Stan. We've got Ray on the line. Ray, do you have anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, glutamate is also very toxic, isn't it? They use it in potato chips and stuff like that, don't they?
Yes.
And of course, in TV dinners.
Yeah, glutamate is another word for MSG, monosodium glutamate.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So they're all the kissing cousins, that they work differently. Geez. They're both excitotoxins, and of course, Dr. Only had worked on both of them. So, and that's why they taste so good. You've ever seen that slogan? You can't just take one, referring to chips. That's because they're almost addicting. They just taste so good, you want them more and more. But they're actually destroying your brain as you eat them, and having all sorts of toxic effects on your general body.
Unfortunately, I like Doritos a lot. I don't know. Maybe I should give them up, but...
I think you really should. I don't know specifically, but I suspect they've got MSG in them. And you got to learn to read those labels. And it may take you a while before you begin to get the toxic effects from it, but it'll get you sooner or later. By then, your mind may be so demented you won't even know that there's anything wrong. That's when you're in real trouble, when you don't know that you're being poisoned.
Yeah.
Well, do you know of some of the hidden sources of free glutamic acid or MSG?
No, I'm not familiar with. Well, but I'd heard about the TV dinner thing, and of course the potato chips. I'd known about that, but I wasn't sure exactly what glutamate did. I guess it's cancer causing, isn't it?
It has all sorts of effects. Really, probably the best book on this is that we carry as excitotoxins that taste and kills by Dr. Russell Blaylock.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be a good one to read.
And